says, I woke up in a dream in a dreamless land, the land of opportunity to find out who I am. I am Enrique, running across borders on trains of death, a 13-year-old hungry, dirty, all alone, in search for my mother who is on the other side of a wall of hate. I am Victor, too dumb, too unprepared, too colored to succeed. I want to be a writer, but people of color are not supposed to dream. Callous hands, early mornings, late nights is the place for me. Working for a below minimum wage for borders that were created for corporal greed. I am a Latino, trying to show the world who I really am. I am you. I am an American, in chase of my American dream. My name is Bryan Ovidio Rojas-Araúz. My idea of being here is that eventually we get to tell our own story instead of having others coming in and looking from the outside. Even though I'm documented now, I will always be a dreamer, for that is my experience. That will always be my community, and that will always be my motivation for continuing to do what I do. I was born in San Jose, Costa Rica, December 22nd, 1986. And I was born a premature baby. So since I was very little, it was this idea I've always been fighting. At 8 years old, my parents divorced, and that changed a lot of things. In a lot of ways, it felt like I went from an 8-year-old kid to like an 8-year-old adult. And when I was about 13 years old, I ended up coming to the US to a family that I had never met, living with my aunt, her husband, and she had a newborn baby. As he was learning English, so was I. So I would read the cardboard books to the baby, but I was also learning English as I went along. I ended up having to move to another aunt's house. Nowhere was home. Without knowing then, I would never again live with my parents. Being in the neighborhood that I was in, it was easy to fall in this kind of like spiral of self-destructive behavior. And sports literally became my lifeline. I was in high school to play sports. Because I was from Costa Rica, because my ethnic background was different, my accent was different, even when I spoke Spanish, listened to different music, had different cultural traditions, and even used different words. I kind of felt pretty marginalized by within the Latino community, and also within the mainstream community. There was a lot of things that I felt I didn't get to do. Like college was not really something I think I could do. Didn't think I was going to be able to attend. I just had never been given the permission to dream that big. At 18 years old, for the first time in my life, I set foot on a college campus. What Puente looked like was the first place in which I actually identified as being Latino. I began to do a lot of like advocacy work in Latino communities, and May 1st, 2006, the Great Boycott was going to take place. So at 19 years old, I started helping with the organizing of this national event. At the time, the idea of a dreamer and what the dream act would be wasn't, for me at least, fully developed. I decided to start my own club, and it was the Dream Club, which was a club that was pro-community, pro-immigration, and pro-education. And the idea of the club was to help undocumented students better navigate college, while also helping allies support that process. After the creation of the Dream Club, I started really developing this idea of being a dreamer and what it meant to be a dreamer. When I got to San Jose State, I got involved in a lot of different things. I was involved in Greek life. I'm a brother of Sigma on Debate International Fraternity Incorporated. We started a mentoring program, which was called FE, which means faith in Spanish, in which we work with at-risk elementary school kids. I was also my brother's guardian. It was fairly chaotic.
At San Jose State in the fall, a homecoming king and queen are chosen as one of the highest awards in the university. Without them knowing, fall 2010 they had chosen their first undocumented homecoming king. That spring, in front of many familiar faces, I was able for the first time to come out and say,
I am an undocumented student. I am not an us and them, I am them. all of a sudden something that was political became personal. The AB 540 coalition, we were able to pass a addendum to the Constitution at San Jose State. After spring 2010, documentation was no longer an issue for things like getting books or being able to borrow a laptop if you couldn't afford to buy one. So in 2010 I graduated, and I was like first in my family to graduate college, and I was still undocumented. Now I had a college degree and could do nothing with it. I felt defeated. I felt like maybe it was time for me to go back home. At least back in Costa Rica, I could drive a car with a license. I could get in a plane without having to worry about whether or not I was going to my destination or back to Costa Rica. It was really kind of like a tipping point. All of a sudden, going back home felt like my only option. I would give myself one last chance, and this last chance was applying to graduate school. And it was actually June 6, 2012 that I received my green card. I also thought that becoming documented meant that all my problems would magically disappear. The reality wasn't that. Even though I was documented, my dad continued to be undocumented. There was a lot of maybe survival guilt that came with the documentation. Even the idea of me being the exact same person on June 5th than who I was on June 6th. And knowing that I had done nothing to deserve what I was getting. It was the work of dreamers, undocumented students, by going into offices and doing log-ins and risking themselves, their bodies, their livelihood, so others could gain those benefits.
While at SFSU, I began to recognize mentors in my life whom, thanks to, I was able to attend my first conference, publish for the first time, and become involved with research. I was able to experience parts of academia I never knew existed, and began to understand the power knowledge held, and more importantly, the power and responsibility of those who produced it.
Was getting my master's and decided to start applying to programs, but life happened. My dad let me know that he was going back to Costa Rica because he was still undocumented, tired, constantly feeling like he had to look over his shoulder. So even though I was documented, it didn't mean that my immigration issues were over and done with. I was also the speaker at my graduation. I knew he wasn't gonna be there. It just became another reason to pursue my doctoral degree. I came to the University of Oregon and have tried my best to get involved in things that fit my soul. Right, things like ALAS, an after-school program in which we work with Latinx youth. Feeling extremely lucky to be able to be part of these opportunities that I wish I would have had when I was their age, and I know the value of them.
Si te amo y respeto.
Si te amo y respeto.
If I love and respect you.
If I love and respect you.
Me amo y respeto yo.
Me amo y respeto yo.
I was able to get involved in the founding and establishment of Signal on Debate here at the University of Oregon, which is the first and only Latino-based multicultural fraternity on campus. A lot went through my head. All of a sudden I felt that there was something trivial about being in academia. Everything I tried to do outside of academia, whether it's research or involvement with groups or anything else, I tried to make it social justice driven, to live up to what it means to be a scholar activist. I've been out and about, and I've been marching, and I've been getting involved on top of all the academic responsibilities that come with being in a doctoral program. Yet, I question my place within it. Being in academia can be fairly isolating at times. I don't think we have any other dreamers in this program. I think this summer I'll have to get my citizenship. It has become a have to because it just doesn't feel safe not to have it anymore. I have given everything that I am to a place that I call home. But the reality is that my story is not really the exception. It's actually more of the norm if people just took a second to understand that. I think that things will look a little different.
Yo soy el inmigrante sin pueblo, ni de aquí ni de allá, hijo del pueblo y el mundo de mi hogar, criado en el barrio de la mala vecindad, sin rumbo ni sendero, pero con capacidad. Soy la lengua de mi padre y el sonido de hip hop, soy la piel color canela, el descendiente del sur. Mi madre es África, Latinoamérica mi padre, la pasión dentro de mí como fuego arde. Viviendo mi vida pobre en un rico planeta, volando por el mundo like a los cometas. I'm a walking contradiction, de calle y educado. Pude ser empresario, pero terminé en doctorado. Mi alma llora tinta, mi legacía ha dejado. No soy ningún santo, yo juego con pecado. No me hace falta nada, respiro libremente, pero no seré libre hasta que liberen a mi gente. Yo soy el inmigrante.